Hello and welcome to Screen Views. I'm Dave.
I'm James.
And this is the weekly podcast where we give our views on a film and TV show.
Each episode is unscripted, unedited, so anything can happen. Listeners should be aware that we do include spoilers, so feel free to fast forward, rewind, or simply buckle up and enjoy a somewhat coherent conversation.
Our podcast is based on the idea that there's no such thing as a bad movie. Therefore, for every review, we'll give a recommendation instead of a rating.
But first up, we're going to have a quick discussion about what we talked about last week to see if our opinions have changed.
Hello.
Hello.
Here we are.
We're back. We're back.
Yep.
Last time we were talking about Jurassic World.
Yeah.
It's been a while. We do apologise.
Yeah.
Life's been busy. You listen to our mini-sode, we're talking about how we're superheroes. So
Yeah.
an update of why we are not here as much. Listen to that.
Yeah.
There you go. An
Check
excuse
that out.
to
Yeah.
hear more stuff. Why?
Hadn't-
We explain it.
Nothing to do with our real life work
Nah.
or the cinema,
Yeah.
like having building
work,
works.
yeah.
Nothing to do with like us being disorganized.
No.
It's just, our secret identities, which you can
Yeah.
find out about
Yeah.
or not on the TV minisode,
Well,
which we
cinema
just recorded.
is our life, and life finds a way.
Yes, good link.
Thank you.
So we're back in. Back in with the Jurassic,
Yeah, Jurassic World.
the prehistoric podcast
Yeah.
review.
This
Happened that long ago. Did you see what I did there?
yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Have your views changed on the Jurassic front at all?
I can't even remember what I said, if I'm being honest, on the last podcast.
Uh.
But I think it's okay.
It's done
It's
really good
alright.
money wise.
Has it?
Yeah. Loads of people saying it's always underperformed. It's underperformed in comparison to the first film, but the first film was a surprise success. But in terms of it's profited, it's got a lot of money. It'll probably have a sequel. It's done really well money wise. I mean, the cinema was quite full when we went, and I think it might still be showing. It might still be
Still
showing.
going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, well done. to
Well,
them.
yeah. I mean, if it makes money, that's what this is sort of all about, I guess.
Yeah, that's all. If
Yeah.
you want movies to continue, it has to make money. And so,
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
entertainment is key for me.
mm,
I know, like, some people are like, it's all about the art and pushing boundaries, but for me, it's about entertainment. And
it is still going on. Like 3 weeks in, and now we have The Incredibles, and we have Skyscraper,
Yeah.
and it's still on.
Although that's just reminded me that we didn't really, in the film minisode that we just released, we didn't really talk about Mission Impossible.
We just released a
So-
TV minisode.
No, last week.
Oh,
we
sorry,
recorded
yeah.
the film minisode,
Yeah.
didn't we?
I think I said like it's coming up.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I know it's just because we spoke about some of the others a bit more. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure I mentioned it.
okay,
But
yeah,
yeah,
it's coming.
yeah. The Fallout's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's So our opinions really haven't changed that much. It's got a load of money. It probably will get a sequel.
Good director.
And, yeah, good director. Some good visual things. Like I say, the opening shot for me was really powerful. In terms of underwater, not really knowing where the location is, or slowly being brought into a location.
Yeah, that was really good.
It's a shame the dialogue and the down
There's
the scene.
just a bit more with the story. Maybe could have been.
Yeah.
But I do think it's difficult. I think it's difficult if you're a director coming into Jurassic World. It's kind of like everything's been done. It's very. Do you follow the formulas? Do you try and mix it up?
Yeah.
Do you make it like big and expansive, or do you like keep it quite contained? I think with this movie they kept it quite contained and went for that option. I'm not sure whether it's the right option or not. I think in some ways it is.
Yeah.
But I think the problem with the Jurassic series now is that it's all about like what's the new kind of hybrid badass like dinosaur can we make?
Yeah.
And and it's just like, well,
Aren't they bad enough?
yeah, like can you
Like,
not just?
Why aren't the originals scary? Like,
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I suppose it's like you've got to up the ante, haven't you, all the time.
yeah.
It's like, but yeah, I mean, it's a bit like I suppose just all, I think if you make it a bit more contained, which this film does, it does make it better, and I think that's probably the right decision. And I'm just sort of reflecting on the fact that you know, with the superhero films, if you think about the ones that stand out, like say The Dark Knight, for me that stands out because it's not about saving the world. It's not about the world is ending, we need to stop this thing, our goal is to prevent this person from doing a certain thing so the world doesn't end. You know, those kind of stories are always
tiring,
a bit difficult, and to be honest, Avengers, they tackled that quite well. And I think that is it should be something that people maybe don't think about with the Avengers, is that Infinity War, they really do tackle that subject quite well. And and it's one of the superhero films that has done that. Sorry, I know we're taking a bit of a sidetrack now, but I think making that decision to make a story a bit more contained does make it easier to build tension and drama and that sort of thing. Whereas if it's too expansive, too like world destruction, you're moving around too much, it's a bit difficult to do. And that's why I suppose Jurassic Park, the first one, and the reboot work quite well, because it's all about a park being destroyed and not the world, and so it's a bit more sort of contained.
So the fear is that is a character know your character's lives rather than this big unimaginable sort of fear. So you don't slip into it being a disaster movie then as well. No. Which is what my fear with Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom was. It was going to turn into a rehash of Jurassic World 2 in the sense that it was like the dinosaurs attacking the city, and it sort of slips into that disaster movie type. Although I remember
Godzilla.
I remember the scarier part of the Lost World, the second Jurassic Park film. The scarier part of that were a lot more scarier than the parts of the Fallen Kingdom. Yeah, I mean,
I think the best bits are always on the island, which is always a bit of a bit of a problem. Yeah. I think the minute they leave the island, but it'd be interesting, without giving too much away. It'll be interesting to see, because they will make a third one if this one's been profitable. Then without a doubt they'll make it. Even if it's not profitable, they'll probably make a third one. I would have thought
it's earned more money than it cost to make it, which it easily has. So that's all bits people want to know.
So you can look out for a third one.
So this week we saw The Incredibles 2.
Second
one.
Sequel.
You mentioned The Dark Knight. We just passed the 10-year anniversary of The Dark Knight.
Really?
Sorry to make you feel old.
Yeah, thanks.
I remember it as well.
That's crazy. But 10 years old.
Yeah. 10 years old, but still talked about in most superhero, when people are comparing superhero films, still compared to well, it's like the pinnacle for me. Is that right? Yeah.
Pinnacle? Is that the top?
Yeah, but Ultimate is the second.
Yeah.
So
I think that's right.
And
then so I just think it's I think you're going to struggle to top it because it sort of exists. But I think there are reasons that is one of the best, which we could go into.
Sort of way. It's incredible in a
I think I was going to say, I think for this podcast, listeners should maybe play a drinking game. Although always drink responsibly. Responsibility. Responsibility.
Yeah.
Always drink
responsibly.
Yeah. That's it. We haven't been drinking.
No.
Despite not being able to say that.
Just coffee.
But I think a good drinking game, if you're being responsible, would be that every time we say incredible, then you have to have a drink.
Well, I don't think
that's going to be a lot.
Incredibly a lot. So it's fine.
Oh,
so good.
That's like a little mini podcast spoiler hint.
Oh no! Just saying incredible twice and really quickly.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So if we keep saying it, people have got a drink. So
So
we're going to say it a bit more.
We saw Incredibles. So we both walked out to cinema and we saw it with two other people, and they started talking loads about the film. But me and David, we don't talk about the film after we've seen the cinema. So we're just listening.
We wait till the podcast.
So I've got no idea what you thought of it. So who wants to go first?
Vice versa.
Do you want to go first?
Interesting. Well, I suppose what was interesting is the two people that we saw it with. Should we mention their names? I don't know. But anyway, we saw it with two people.
Like J Dog and
J Dog and S Dog.
Yeah. S Salmon.
S Cat.
S Cat. Yeah.
J Dog and S Cat.
Yeah.
If you're out there.
Boom. Yeah.
That's your nicknames now. They were both not overly happy. Their review was not good. Well, it's not not positive about this film. So that's an interesting starting point. I think because I don't know. Like it's that thing again. You know when you hear people talk about something negatively, does that influence your opinion? I think quite often it sort of does, but then it doesn't. It certainly made me think twice about this film.
I came out of the cinema thinking yes, because I really enjoyed this film. I'm not gonna lie. I did see. I heard a couple of things online before we're done there. Most of it was like, it's all right, but nothing compared to the first one. And it's just okay.
Yeah.
But I have to say, I really enjoyed it. There's so many, and I really enjoyed all acts. I mean, the first act, all 3 acts, or was it 5 acts, depending on how. Toddler rule, I don't know which one, and 3 or 5.
No, it's normally it's 3 acts, isn't it?
3 acts, yeah.
But I think if you break it down, there's other theories that break it down.
Yeah, Todorov theories is one that I always really enjoyed. It's like equilibrium, the steps of equilibrium, recognition of disturbance, attempt to repair, and new equilibrium.
That's expanding the Todorovs, because you can break it down to just equilibrium, disequilibrium, new equilibrium, and it has to be a new equilibrium at the end because the hero's been on the journey and they've changed.
Unless you're watching some weird stuff like Momentum and stuff, where you think
I'm not
new
sure
equilibrium's at the beginning.
Yeah, but
anyway,
I think you could probably. But there's other theories that you can apply that break it down a bit further, isn't there?
But I just have to. I just really, really, really enjoyed it. I just felt like it was just a blast all the way through. I felt like they tried to make really entertaining action sequences, but I felt like with the first one, First Incredibles, you've got the 2 storylines: the drama at home, and then also he's going out to work, and very quickly they interject. And like this, I felt like second half of the first movie, they were all heroes on this island, and like they may not know each other's there, and they'll be communicating fully. But I felt like the 2 storylines connected very quickly. With this one, I felt like a breath of
fresh air.
Breath of fresh air.
What's with us in this podcast? We're like we can't say like common phrases.
I just felt like it just felt nice bouncing from one to the other to the other, going from her being like sort of like on the island but like in her job doing superhero stuff, and a dad at home doing stuff. And I also felt like it was kind of nice how there was full communication in this one. With the other one, it's all about deception. It's all about not being open with each other. It's all about like guilty pleasures. When this one, it's all about embracing things,
who you are,
and also with your partner sort of accepting that and making sacrifices and voluntarily making sacrifices rather than being forced to make the sacrifices.
There's a lot of jokes about like family like dynamics and family caring after kids and stuff, which I thought was done really well. I think it's really, that kind of Pixar astute comedy that or sort of appeal to the younger audience because there's a lot of slapstick in there, but there's also those kind of, those just like sophisticated adult jokes about being a tired parent or, and they kind of intertwine those quite well. Good balance of Pixar.
There's one where like Mr. Incredible, he's sort of breaking down. He's just going a little bit crazy, and the kids are just looking at him with awe. And it's sort of like, I thought that was quite an interesting moment. And a lot of times they're just displaying what they think is funny, what they think is relevant, and not necessarily telling a message all the time. I don't know. A lot of it was about sending a message, but also a lot of it was just about displaying different scenarios.
Yeah,
I just felt kind of nice.
Because I think, am I right in thinking that this film started off pretty much where the first film ended?
From the second, he starts telling the story.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, we have someone get interviewed, and he's telling the story, and it literally starts off from the end of the last film.
Yeah, which I thought was I thought that was really because there's always that temptation to have a passing of time, and then the kids have maybe grown up or developed a little bit or changed in some way.
I love the fact that the audience knows about the baby, and none of the main characters do. I love the fact that we're going into this film with more knowledge than the actual main characters. And that's kind of a cool little thing.
Yeah, they played that out quite well, I thought.
Yeah. And usually, when it comes to sequels, I don't know, if everything's tied up in a bow, and then you have to recreate. I mean, like, what I find with sequels is that at the end of the film, life is perfect. But then, because you made a perfect film, perfect world, at the start of the next film, something's going to happen off camera, and it's got like seriously affect our main character.
Or you've got to break it straight away.
Yeah, so with Iron Man 2, he's suddenly dying. With Iron Man 3, he's suddenly having panic attacks. With Captain America 2, he suddenly doesn't trust anybody in this organization. And then, I mean, like with all these different sequels, all of a sudden, even though it was perfect the last film, the next film has to be broken. But actually, this film sort of said it perfectly. This family were superheroes on this island, and then they've come back to this place which still has all these rules in.
Yeah,
and
which they can't be a part of officially.
Yeah, and the montage at the end is about blending into the world. Like, Jack can run, but Dash can run, but he can't run as fast. He has to sort of blend in, and that Violet girl, she can be more open, but she can't show superpowers.
Yeah, that's good. The Flash in the athletics, where they're like cheering him on. He's like, no, slow down. Yeah, it's good. Clever.
And I thought and they haven't really discussed what would happen if they break this rule. And at the start of this film, it's this is what happens.
So I mean, just for anybody who's not seen it, I mean, the whole film focuses on the laws around superheroes being banned or illegal.
Well, we've heard all these, like, even in the real world, about these ridiculous sort of like cases of like people trying to be sued for saving someone's life, and
which I think the first film touches on that, doesn't it?
Yeah, but also like this film is sort of like, well, you should have done nothing. You should have just not interfered, and like they do trust in something which is like in terms of insurance. I love the way they sort of said, well, yeah, it's great that you tried, but if you didn't do anything, this is what would have happened, and everything would have been fine. But because you had to get involved, and I thought that was kind of interesting because you can sort of see from both points of view. Yeah, insurance is there for a reason.
Well, what I thought was interesting as well is just the idea that, well, like the villain, the bad guys, they in a film they break the law anyway. Yeah, like in this world, they're gonna do what they do. Yeah, and it's interesting that it's like, why does good need this kind of like authority, on it needs approval, and it needs like politicizing. It's just an interesting, I suppose that sort of comes up in
Batman v Superman.
Does it? Captain America Civil War, definitely in there.
Well, Batman v Superman is also like the destruction of the city in Superman in Man of Steel.
No, right.
It's sort of like, do you have a right to like destroy the city? And like Superman's well trying to defend. I'm not trying to destroy the city. This guy was destroying the city.
But I mean, I sort of came out this film and I sort of think, right, I enjoyed it. So I think we're on the same page there. And I think what was, and I thought, I mean, I don't know about animation, but like for me, I thought the animation was really well done. Some of the chase scenes, I just sort of think they did things in terms of the action that you can't do in a normal film, or a live action film yet. I don't think, and that for me was was really interesting, and I just sort of thought they got that quite a good balance between humour, action, kind of did what you kind of wanted. Like I don't. My only issue that I sort of agree with S-Cat and J-Dog was that about the villain. I think we were watching the trailer for
Hotel Transylvania.
Yeah, whatever that is. Yeah. And a character comes on screen and you're like, well, they're the bad guy. All right, like instantly.
Yeah.
And it's just and I think I'm a bit tired of this idea that you can't trust anyone. It's like it's kids' films, and I know it's supposed to be quite obvious as to who, because it's for kids. But then it's also what are we teaching kids that like anyone who's nice to you is probably 50% chance that they're going to be a villain.
Yeah.
So why does it always have to be the people that are trying to help? There's always there's a twist in it, and you can. I mean, we're spoiler. We're giving away spoilers here, but which we do with our reviews. It's just too. I'm just I feel like we've been here quite a few times. There's somebody who comes into the film. You think that they're trying to help for whatever reason, and of course it turns out that they're not who they say they are.
It's a bit obvious because this person is great at technology, and there's only one other person within the film that's great at technology. They haven't actually.
I think that was a big downer for me on this film, which is that.
Although I kind of liked the way it was sort of like, it wasn't about destroying the world. It wasn't about. It was just about making a bad example of superhero. Because her plan wasn't to take over the world. Her plan was to
make superheroes look. Bad
so basically,
and be illegal forever.
Make an awful accident, and then make. Yeah, so it wasn't like a world sort of thing. The first one wanted sort of like to spread technology. What I love about the first one, I feel like it's a hidden message about smart technology. I love the fact that so basically people can sort of learn and be intelligent, some people are special and can learn and like be intelligent, or you can buy stuff which can make you intelligent, and once you can buy stuff to make you intelligent, like phones. Once you have all the information at your fingertips, then no one's smart and intelligent. I don't. I've worded it a lot better in my head. It's sort of like I've worded it a lot better.
Oh my god, this is amazing deconstruction of a first film.
But the first film was an interesting view of the second film is not as good, but I loved the way it wasn't like world ending. It wasn't like, and the stakes weren't about like saving the world. It's just stopping this bad example. That's like probably 100, maybe 200 people, maybe. I don't know how many people would have got killed, but I don't know. It was
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, but I don't. Whether it was world ending or not, that for me wasn't the issue. The issue was it was like really obvious as to who the villain is going to be, and I just sort of think like, why do we have to have this deception stuff in a children's film? Like, why? In some ways it might feel a bit more fresh now if the bad guy was just the mole person throughout the whole film. It's like kind of like. Kind of make it obvious, or
this is basically he wanted all that money because this was his next plan. This is always going to be the plan, and or just make it. I don't know. I just feel a little bit bored of the whole. Like you think somebody's a good person, but they're not, and it's like. Yeah. But like I say, like I got so much more enjoyment. It's funny how when we started this podcast, we started to talk about the other stuff first, the drama stuff first. I enjoyed the drama stuff a lot more, and I'd be happy like with if it was mainly about the dad and the kids. I would have been really happy with that. Like that, I think Jack in every single scene. In Jack never got tired for me. The little baby, I thought they played the baby just right. And I also felt the baby had different characteristics that was just really funny when the baby started imitating the dressmaker, the costume maker. I thought
there's some
really funny in this.
Yeah, I think I mean, I was a bit worried coming into this podcast because I'm like, what do I say about this film? Because like it just I think gave me everything that I was expecting from an Incredibles sequel. You know, it's.
I think the film is also disappointing because it doesn't. It gives me everything that I wanted, but Pixar used to give you a little bit more. Used to hit the emotions, and it never hit the emotions for me in this film. I never got sad or anything like that.
Interesting that like you should say that actually, because for me this sits quite similar to sort of like Toy Story 2 in a way for me. Like, you know, because Toy Story, first one, so amazing.
Yeah.
And then the second one, expectations are so high that it was never really going to meet that. And then you watch it and you're like, it was okay. It wasn't,
some people rate the second one higher than the first one.
Well, they're crazy people.
And the second one was going to go straight to video.
I know they had loads of production issues with the second one, and I think somebody had to step in to sort it out. But you know, I just don't think it was better than the first one. But then I don't think it was ever going to be as better than the first one. So and I get what you're saying, because I think Toy Story 2 doesn't do what you were just talking about in terms of like taking it to that giving you that little bit more. Yeah. Whereas Toy Story 3, I know people like sort of can love it or hate it, but I was on the love side, and I think that did what you were talking about, where it just sort of gave you that little bit more, and it hit the right notes. So I think, you know, Incredibles for me, Incredibles 2, you know, has that sort of comparison.
I think they missed the ball when the mum found out about the kids coming to save them. I thought that could have been more of a special moment. And also, I never felt like the parents felt the kids were in danger in this one. And the one big thing in the first one was when the missile was going to hit them, and the mum is saying like, the kid's on board, and the dad's like freaking out saying, no, my kids are on board, and the mum's ordering Violet to put a force field around the plane, and Violet's sort of like, I can't, and it's like there's so many different things going on in that moment, and there's so many different fear factors.
Yeah,
and I felt like there's no one was ever in danger in this movie. And I felt that's also it's just nice. It's just okay, basic and nice. I really enjoyed the film. But in comparison, I could sort of understand why someone would say it's not as good. I also felt like they didn't try and go for like that emotional. I don't know. I can't think of a single point where they tried to go for that emotional sort of like sweet bit. I mean, I didn't tear up at all. Finding Nemo. My God, I can't watch Finding Nemo without getting a little like mad tear. Brave, you got not Brave. You got the balloons one. Up, yeah, the balloons that go up. The balloons. You got Up, and you got Toy Story 3. You got so many different.
Don't forget
WALL-E as well. WALL-E is a film that doesn't look like... Are we
just naming Pixar films now?
Well, no. WALL-E is something which, on paper, was probably going to look like the biggest flop. Yeah. It didn't look that great. Trailer didn't look that great. No one's really excited about it. It just wasn't... The main character doesn't talk. It's in sort of like the similar sort of surroundings.
I feel like that sort of took over a little bit more. Like I feel like all the talk about WALL-E before it was released was about how the main character didn't talk for the first half an hour of the film. Yeah. Or there was no talk, like barely any talking for a long time. And it, you know, that was, I mean, that's hype in itself, but it was also the wrong type of hype. Because overall, it's a beautiful movie. Like a lot of the Pixar stuff,
but it also does have that emotional sort of kick as well. Like when that girl finds out that he's been protecting her the whole time, and he's been caring for her, and all he wants is a hand, hold her hand. So like, wow, really sweet. He went. Yeah, I don't know. Just
yeah, it's just yeah. I mean, I think Pixar have hit that emotional note so many times that of that tearing up but feeling good about yourself, like in the world, and understanding like your relationship to the people around you and your family, and they do a very good job of like connecting generations and through movies, which I think is that that for me is that reason that we go to movies is to understand our own emotions, and in a way that we can't always express in words. And Incredibles 2 doesn't do this, but then I'm not sure that the first one ever sort of did for me. But I think it. I mean, but it's interesting that the animation short before Incredibles 2 actually does that. In a very short space of time, in a beautiful sort of metaphor, and I think it's almost worth going to see Incredibles 2 just for that short at the beginning, and so I think I definitely recommend Incredibles 2 for not just that reason, but also for the fact that it's going to give viewers what they want. Like I think there's a lot of people that I think is possibly cashing in on the whole superhero popularity at the moment, but there's been a long call for a Incredibles sequel, and I don't think it's gonna sort of let people down too much.
No,
I think I wouldn't.
You can take the whole family.
Yeah, I wouldn't suggest people getting super excited about it.
No.
But in terms of our sort of podcast format, who are we recommending this film for? Well, anybody can watch this. It's universal. It's what Pixar do. If you're an adult with your kids, you're gonna laugh at the family stuff and the parenthood jokes. If you're a kid, you're gonna laugh at the slapstick stuff, and then you're gonna laugh together, and you're gonna have a good time. The action sequences are really well put together. The camera goes to places that I don't think a live action camera can quite pull off yet. So I think it's got everything in there for what you would expect. I think yes, it's not as good as the first one. Yes, it doesn't hit those heights in terms of emotional, like drama, but does it need to? I don't know.
I love the way Violet is written a lot better in this one than the first one. The first one wasn't really about Violet, and she was like the least focused one of them all. And Dash was more front and center, and also the parents. I like the way Violet becomes her own full character in this one.
And like you say, they use the baby quite well as well.
Baby. And if they do a next one, I'd like the baby to be a toddler. I don't want the baby to be the same age in the next one.
I suppose it's like it's finding that balance there, isn't it? And my go-to thought is about Gru and like how they jump that along a little bit.
But who knows? They're making Rugrats, a new Rugrats movie, and they go back to the babies.
Who, Pixar?
No, I think that's whoever owns
right,
Rugrats.
okay.
And so that should be interesting because they're all grown up, the TV series.
Oh, are they?
So where the babies have grown up as teenagers, and now they want to do another thing based on the characters, but they're going to bring it back to the babies.
Oh, right, okay.
So it's another thing where it's like Simpsons wouldn't have an aged Maggie yet. Just thinking of examples of like.
It's interesting that Simpsons made that choice.
But they're playing around with the age. And like I think in one episode, like it's like Lisa's birthday, and like Homer says, "How many birthdays have you had?"
Right, Like, just the in jokes. Okay. Cool. Some Rugrats, something to look forward to.
Obviously. It was animation, so it's gonna take a while. So I think I think that's it for this podcast. I think unless you've got anything else to say about.
Well, what are we going to see next?
Next, I think we might have to see good old Rocky, Dwayne the Rock Johnson in the incredible Skyscraper, which is probably because it's the next big thing. Or we might let's watch Skyscraper. I think Skyscraper.
Yeah.
I think Mission Impossible is out next weekend.
Okay.
So this week the only new film is Mamma Mia, which I know you're excited about.
Yeah.
But, we may have to push that back.
Well, I mean, we might not get around to Mamma Mia for the podcast, realistically.
Yeah.
But Skyscraper.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts other than it's like Die Hard for the new generation?
Yeah. I think it's
not going to be as good.
It's interesting the way that so a Paralympian has like written an open letter to Dwayne The Rock Johnson complaining about like this role like not going. She's also an actress. She's
right.
She has one leg missing.
Okay.
And she's an actress, and basically an open letter saying it's so difficult for her to try and get roles because no one will hire her for full able-bodied roles. So when a script comes along, which is like perfect for her body, and she feels like she's right for it, she doesn't understand why, over and over again, all these full-bodied A-list actors can't get the job. I mean, it's fine because you've exposure, people love them characters, but how somebody who has a disability, who is an actress, able to get to the point of exposure if no one's hiring them because everybody's hiring A-listers?
It's a shame because it comes back around to money, basically, doesn't it? Like Dwayne Johnson has been consistently like a guaranteed hit for quite a few. Yeah, like a number of years now, isn't he? Yeah. I mean, he's like the kind of new generation. You know, like when at one point it was, Stallone, Schwarzenegger. You're pretty much guaranteed that they're going to be like popular. And then you had Bruce Willis for a while. And there's probably a couple of others that I'm forgetting. But he's kind of this generation's action big one. Hero that's guaranteed to pull in some cash. Sorry, I was just thinking about Vin Diesel in there as well. Kind of like there's a crossover there, I guess. Yeah. But I mean, Tom Cruise maybe he's pretty consistent, but.
Well, Tom Cruise is because like
he's a bit more versatile. Isn't he?
When did his peak was? You can say his peak was the 80s, but then he's always been there in the background. He's always been a household name, and
he made some great films in the 90s as well. Didn't he? So
the first Purge, I thought, was a brilliant film in terms of introducing new actors into a big. It's not a great film, but I'm really excited about where the actors are going to go.
Yeah,
and I think we just need more of them low budget films.
Well, this is the thing. Like, sorry, I'm just I don't disagree with you about the whole hiring. Somebody who's right for the role. Yeah, like put a Paralympian up there in front. Up front, and like that to me would make sense in terms of casting, but in terms of selling, it might be a harder sell. Yeah. And it's a shame that it's cynical to think that now you're in this catch-22 situation where like people are like, well, we're not going to give you money for your film because you haven't got somebody who we can sell. Yeah. And so or it's a case of we'll give you the money for this film if you put Dwayne Johnson in it. It's just like it's so cynical. It's a shame.
I just think people with disabilities, it's just not on the rota yet. I just feel like possibly having a gay person in your movie and having someone of a different ethnicity in your movie are two tick sheets, which I think every movie tries to sort of like always have. Like sometimes it's interesting when look for the non-straight person in the movie, look for the non-white person in the movie. But I just remember watching old TV shows, and there'll always be somebody in a wheelchair. There'll always be like the guy in the office would be the guy in a wheelchair, and it's like, why is he in a wheelchair? They don't explain it. It's just that's what it is. And I guess like, and also kids TV shows. I watched a kids cartoon. One kid had an amputated arm, and there's no reason for it. And I thought there's something beautiful about that. There's something really interesting about that. And like, because the kids aren't going to ask any questions. So that's who he is. And okay.
Yeah.
And so it'll be interesting to see which film company on a big major film will take the plunge first and have somebody with a disability who does not impact to the story at all.
Yeah. Or it's a part of the story that's used like appropriately. So I'm sorry. I think what we should explain to podcast listeners that the reason that we're talking about this is that the main character in Skyscraper, he got an amputated arm? Is it, or?
It's a leg, so from the knee down, he's got no bottom part of his right leg, and so it's a replacement sort of like leg.
Yeah, which I don't know why I thought it was the arm, but it makes sense.
Yeah. It's so I just think it's gonna be interesting when we get to that day. It only takes one film to make an example to say, this could work.
Yeah, but it feels like, will follow. It's all about missed opportunities, isn't it? And it's all about like appropriate casting, because it's that thing that's like, well, like you say, it is beautiful when like people are just sort of, it's not a thing, it's not made a thing if it doesn't need to be a thing. Yeah. But then if it is the thing, which it kind of sounds like it is in this movie, it's like, well, cast it appropriately and just sort of think, well, like, why not? Yeah. And I think it's just always a problem that it's like this kind of like elitism that sort of can happen where it's like, well, we're not going to hire you because you're not a name, and we're not going to give you money for this film because it hasn't got a name in it. So it's a catch-22, because it's like, well, it feels like years ago there was a bit more risks would happen. Yeah. Oh, there's this upcoming actor. Oh, they're doing this film. Oh, like, what is it? Oh, it's called Die Hard. And it's just like, they like, it's there, but it just sort of happens. But maybe that's just my rose-tinted vision of the past. Maybe
I don't mind it if a movie's about somebody who, let's say, someone who is with their family, and then the film is about them transitioning into this like loss of leg, and so they need. So basically, there's one sequence where they need both legs.
Yeah, but they could do that.
Yeah, I know.
They could do that through visual effects. Yeah. Surely it would be.
You could add a leg on. It's just as easy. You could take a leg off.
Yeah. So and you'd have to do that for less portion of the film.
Yeah. No, you're totally right.
So in terms of cost effect, and it's that thing actually, because like I was reading an article about Street Fighter, the movie, a while ago, which was about how it goes into the background about the director's intentions to do all of these wonderful things with the budget that they were given, and that got less and less as the film went on, because they kept adding stars who cost money. And like, in some ways you're just like, well, spend money where the money needs to be spent, which is on the on the action and like the way that the director wants things, and it's just like, why not give somebody, pay less for somebody who has more life experience of that and who will do a better portrayal, because they'll be able to influence the script as well. They'll be able to say, well, hang on, look, and somebody with an amputee leg wouldn't say this, or they wouldn't do this, or can we do it in this way, because that's more how it should be done.
What was brilliant is the girl in The Quiet Place is actually deaf.
Deaf.
And that's kind of cool. And it's kind of cool seeing her on press junkets. Everyone wants to talk to her, and so it isn't about someone who's not being deaf talking about how it's difficult getting into the mindset of you're actually talking to a deaf person. The deaf person was looking to the sign person just to hear what they say, and then they'll respond. And it's kind of like a nice sort of life experience. You can learn a lot about deaf people from the film. You learn some stuff about deaf people from the film, but also about when you're watching an interview about the film, you're also learning a lot. And it's not about learning off what this actor has researched. You're learning off someone who's deaf, and it also makes you feel. I think no one likes to be. It's not prejudiced. Or it's like if you don't know anyone who's blind, you don't know anyone who's deaf, you automatically don't know how to act with anyone who's blind or deaf.
Yeah.
But the more we introduce to people, whether it's being through media or being in real life, the more we're going to feel comfortable with that, and the more the world is just going to accept okay, your best friend's deaf, and I'm like, okay, well, that character's blind. That's all right, and it doesn't have to be a part of like a scene that's happened later on. Like something happens because they're deaf, and yeah, that's what I'm just a little bit annoyed that the film suddenly turns at the end because a character didn't hear something or see something because of their disability. And I think that this film, the whole with Skyscraper, it's just going to be filled with, oh, this scene will be fine if he had both legs, but he could have got no legs. He could have got one leg. Oh, it's more tension and something's going to happen. And I think he's going to use the leg quite a lot to beat people up and
yeah. So,
The Punisher. The Punisher had a character with one leg, which I thought they treated it really well, really interestingly.
Yes. Yeah.
And
you're right. Actually,
and I felt like, there's one scene where the leg is actually part of the scene. But for the rest of it, one scene in a 13 episode series, it becomes a part of it. The rest of it doesn't. I thought they treated that really well.
I know what you mean. Like, I mean, in terms of like, hopefully, Skyscraper's a good action film.
Yeah.
I mean, I think listeners can probably tell that we're both in a bit slightly negative frame of mind going into it.
Yeah.
But I think, we've sort of discussed a couple of reasons for that. I mean, for me, I think the issue is it's just like, well, I've seen Die Hard. That was a really good film.
Yeah.
Why do I need to see Skyscraper? I don't know. Hopefully that question will be answered
maybe
next week.
Maybe this generation needs a Die Hard. Maybe they deserve one.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But can they not just watch Die Hard and enjoy it?
But it's old. They don't want to watch it. Yeah.
I'm surprised they've not tried to reboot Die Hard.
Well,
No,
they could discontinue
say
that,
that,
didn't they? So it's like we're on 5 or 6 at the moment.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, it's a bit like Mission Impossible, isn't it? It's still going.
Although Mission Impossible changes each time. I'm really excited about the new Mission Impossible. Actually,
Oh yeah, I'm not at all.
You're not at all.
No.
You didn't like the last couple.
Well, I haven't seen the last couple.
Then, I think
that's probably why.
Well, Brad Bird did Ghost Protocol, I think it is.
Right.
And he directed the first Incredibles and the second Incredibles, so we only really seen him in animation. So we're like, oh, how does an animation director transfer into the live action world? And when you're watching some of the camera moves and that, it's sort of like,
in Ghost Protocol.
Who would normally? Well, that's kind of interesting when he's climbing the building.
Right. Okay.
Like the camera work is kind of interesting, and it's interesting seeing an animation director direct the live action. So
does that happen with Fallout though?
I don't think it's Brad Bird.
Oh, right, okay.
So, but it's.
But you're saying watch Ghost Protocol, but for that reason.
Well, yeah, I just think I think each one of them, it's not just the same trash each time.
Yeah,
I
know
think
what
they
you
do
mean.
manage to mash it up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a special place in my heart for Mission Impossible 2, which a lot of people don't like. Yeah. And I really like the film.
I love
just like the whole aesthetic of that film, like the whole feel. Yeah. Soundtrack's amazing. Well, I loved it.
I can understand people who love the first one not loving the second one because it's a different type of film. It's a completely different type of film, and I just think there's something that's a good thing. You've got this character. There's about 3 or 4 different types of films within the franchise.
Yeah,
and so I think that's it's really interesting.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So maybe worth going back, but we can maybe talk about that a bit more next week when we're looking forward to.
Yeah,
Mission Impossible actually coming on.
Yeah,
Skyscraper, both a bit appreciative about.
Yeah,
fair to say.
But maybe we'll come out thinking, you know what, that's all right. That's
maybe
a good popcorn movie.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll catch you next time. Hope you're all good. Hope you enjoy the sun.
Yeah.
He says that while looking into
a dark cloud.
Yeah.
Hopefully that won't be an issue.
We'll be around and we'll speak to you next week.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.